Welcome to Shedding Your Skin. I have the honor of engaging with some of South Africa's most phenomenal, brave, empowering individuals who will be giving us a brief insight into how they've stepped out of ordinary into extraordinary. Joining us today is life coach and NLP practitioner Cledal Chinnasamy. I've known Cledal for many years, and over this time, I've watched her evolve. I've watched her get through her pain and addiction. And not only has she made an improvement in her life, she has also impacted so many individuals around her. Welcome, Cledal.
Thank you, Valerie, for that amazing introduction. Yes, it has been an amazing 10 years. Like you had mentioned, that we've known each other for a long time and we've seen each other evolve. So this is actually 10 years for me that I'm free from addiction.
Wow, that's amazing. Well done, Cledal.
Thank you. It's been a really difficult 10 years because, recovery is difficult, rehabilitation is easy, So the last 10 years I had to put in a lot of hard work. A lot of sacrifices had to be made in order for me to get to where I am right now. I threw myself into a lot of community projects, studying, and one of the projects that I do remember was the one that you hosted called Empowering the Next Generation of Women. Do you remember?
Of course, I do remember you along with the other participants, and I remember one of the reasons you were outstanding is because at that point in time you were starting your career as a life coach and you were pursuing your studies, and you were also looking to connect with your discipline, which is trauma counseling and mental health coaching. I also remember you had this a list with your goals. I think the key thing there for me was that you were already reaching out to the clinics and you kind of saw yourself already in that role. I suppose it's one of the reasons, you have been successful. So great stuff, well done on that. Cledal, most interesting for me is how did you end up on the streets of Johannesburg, homeless and destitute?
Okay, well, so that's like 10 years ago. So there was the last 2 years of my addiction. So obviously I was in a new province. I didn't know no one. I had no family, no friends, no money. And being on the streets of Johannesburg opened my eyes to street life. I found myself in abandoned buildings, running from the police. I've seen gruesome events happen all the time on the streets of Hillbrow. And so the last 3 or 4 months of the second year, I ended up in a squatter camp. And the last day that I spent there was when the police busted up the place. I was all going to get locked up, but then there was a pastor that actually took us in. And he took us to a rehabilitation center, and that's how I started my recovery process.
Did you have any close encounters whilst you were on the streets?
Many. I had many close encounters, but I guess the God of my understanding had helped me through that, and that's what I'm here today.
Awesome. Okay, so what actually led you down the path of substance abuse?
Okay, so there were many mitigating factors regarding that, like I would say a lot of childhood trauma, maybe self-esteem at that time.
Yeah.
I did go through a lot of childhood problems and all of that. And also, it was an experimental phase. And I do take full responsibility of me using at that specific time.
Okay, so where you are right now, how did you get to this place? What was so pivotal in your journey that led you to where you are right now?
Okay, so I left the rehabilitation center in 2014, so when I came to Durban. And when I came to Durban, I had to come with a mental plan as to exactly what I'm going to do. Because when I came back to Durban, I had to start work. So I came down without a job. So I stayed at a friend's for a while. I got myself into a job, and then I threw myself into community projects, like I mentioned. And also I studied for my master's in NLP and my life coaching and psychology and all of that. So basically I did a lot of studying. Every hour had to be calculated because I didn't want to chance it. I didn't want to go back. So I made sure I worked very hard, a lot of sacrifices. And yeah.
Okay, and your parents, your dad is actually well established and really wealthy. Is there any particular reason why you didn't turn to him for any help?
My dad was never there, like during our childhood phase. So obviously he had another family at that time, and I guess he was just always not in South Africa at that time. However, right now everything is going quite fine. We have made our amends.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything's okay.
Awesome. Okay, so the BPO industry is the fastest growing market in South Africa. And I know like over the years you have been involved because you mentioned to me that you feel it's one of your biggest callings. Can you elaborate on this?
Yes, actually a part of my plan was to enter into the BPO industry.
Yeah.
Also, one of the main reasons was for the stigmata that's attached to working in a call center, especially in Durban, South Africa. So I wanted to reverse that stigmata because when I entered into the industry, I met a lot of people from different walks of life. People that empowered me, people that I empowered. And working in the industry, it got me to where I am today. So I didn't have a problem working in this center, and I wish people would actually change their view on that. So yeah.
Awesome. Cledal, thank you so much for coming here today, and thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.